Hi, so I just went to my very first convention, which was a lot of fun and a lot of stress. So let's talk about it. But before we get into it, I just wanted to mention what's more than likely going into the speed paint today. So what you're seeing right now is just a bunch of the different designs that I sold at the convention and a few that I wanted to, but I didn't have time to get printed. So, if you are interested in these designs, there's a link to my coffee shop down in the description below, and I'll be selling the excess stickers, prints, everything. And you'll be able to get 15 designs for $10, which is a steal of a deal. So, if that interests you, check out that link in the description. Getting into it. So, I applied for this convention 6 months in advance, didn't hear anything for a very, very long time. And then one of my old friends from high school contacted me out of the blue, was like, hey, I saw you're going to this convention. I was like, wild. I didn't know. So she explained to me that she was on con staff and that she saw my name listed on the artist alley. And I got super excited because I was like, I finally heard back on this. But the sucky part was that by the time I heard back on it, I had a very limited amount of time to get things printed and designed and shipped in, all within like the time frame that I needed. On top of that, I didn't really know what I was doing. So this was a learning experience for me, and I'm grateful that I had it because I basically had not a very good idea of what I was doing going into this. I helped my mom run her business when I was younger, but I didn't do much on the marketing side. I mostly just, helped her do, the nitty-gritty and manual labor stuff. And I've done retail, so you would think I would know, but I don't. So, going over the mistakes that I made first to know what to do next year. For one, all of my prints and all of my stickers were way too small. I got them at 2-inch sizes because that's all I could afford. And my prints, I couldn't get the sizing correct, so what I ended up doing is I ordered some prints that were a decent size. They were sized down on the poster, so I had to go in and hand cut them all down to size. So they turned out pretty small, and I was kind of frustrated by that. That was my mistake, and I didn't do enough beforehand to make sure that everything was ready. Though I will say that my color grading was exactly where I wanted it to be, and the designs came out, the printing came out exactly how I envisioned it. So if you've never done printing before, some things to keep in mind. Vectors are really, really good. You can do rasters. I would recommend doing it at double the file size if you're going to print something in a raster format. Because then you can just size it down and it will maintain quality. But you never want to size up, because if you do, then you get horrible pixel fringing and everything is a little bit pixelated and a little bit gritty, and it just looks terrible. It was one of my pet peeves whenever I would look at anything in marketing or advertising. It's I'm not super knowledgeable, but if something looks grainy, it's just unappealing to me, personally. But yeah, I printed everything way too small. My display was fun. It was, designed to kind of fit the aesthetic that I've slowly been building up on my Instagram, which is kind of Art Nouveau inspired. It's very elegant, but my merchandise did not reflect that aesthetic. So that's something else that I need to keep in mind, is that I can either if I'm gonna do fandom stuff, then the aesthetic of the display should match that. But if I want to do something to help build my own imagery and branding for my own future projects, then I need to make sure my merchandise reflects that and has that same Rococo, Art Nouveau, 1910s, 1900s vibe. And I couldn't pick one or the other. So next year, for the next convention, I'm still going to use some of the things that I made for that set, but I think I'm going to lean into retro a bit for the 80s and 90s. I've thought about picking up a CRTV and a DVD player and putting some pieces together in sort of a slideshow, because I think that would be fun. I'd need to get a power pack for that ahead of time though. But yeah, I did not have a clear vision for how my aesthetic would reflect on the art that I drew up. I had a couple of pieces that were, like, I had like 2 or 3 stickers that matched the vibe, but nothing else. And I also need to make sure that I'm printing at big sizes for people to see, because they want a huge print to put on their wall. I printed what I would call locker sizes, where you would like put a poster or a picture inside of your locker. And so I still think I'm gonna print out some small things for next year too. But I'm definitely gonna prepare more ahead of time, budget more, make sure that I have the money set aside quickly, make sure that I have the designs prepped ahead of time. I'm already starting my designing for next year, this year. I met a lot of really, really cool, interesting people, so I'm gonna name drop them. Let me pull up their Instagrams really quick. And I'm gonna encourage you to go stalk them, because they were super helpful. They gave me a ton of advice. They were very, very friendly. They made this convention so much fun for me. So I just wanted to take a moment, shout them out, and appreciate them for what they did. The first one is my friend boysenberry.jpg. She is the one who let me know that I was even gonna be at this convention. Without her, I wouldn't have known, and I wouldn't have even had time to prepare. So thank you so much. Please go check out her Instagram. She is starting a webcomic of her own. I haven't taken the time to look at it yet, but it looks promising to me. She's got really, really cute designs. She was selling some Pokemon stickers, so if she also decides to set up her own shop, I'll be shouting that out as well. So Sydney over at Sitsy Illustrations was tabling right next to me. They had a ton of really cute and cool stuff. We talked for a bit, we exchanged some stickers, we exchanged some prints. She was also very helpful in just kind of helping me figure out some of the things that I did wrong this time around. She gave me a lot of advice, and encouraged me to try again for next year. So I just also wanted to shout her out. She was really, really cool. It was really great getting to be able to talk to her. And she was cosplaying as Bee from Bee and Puppy Cat, and that is probably the cutest show I've ever seen. There was also another artist. I didn't get to talk with him as much, but I also wanted to shout out him and his table. So Joao's Drawings, over on Instagram, Twitter. He had a ton of like really big posters. He has a very rendered anime art style that was really cool to see. I wish that I had spending money, because he had a couple of Persona 5 prints, and I really wanted to get them because it's one of my favorite games. But unfortunately, I had to make money and not spend money. But I'm hoping next year to check him out again if he does another table with the Retro X. And yeah, maybe I'll buy a piece off of him if he sets up a shop as well. And then finally, so Preston over at Prolix Art was across the table from mine, and he was the one who had he was the most helpful, I would say, when it came to like advice and just talking across the table. His table was pretty well put together. He had pricing at a pretty big size. He had a lot of good art. He had this little like D20 roll mat thing where you could pay a certain amount of money, you could roll a dice, and then you would be able to like pick a print or something, and that was a really cool idea. I don't know if I'll steal that idea from him or not. I would kind of feel bad, but if I do, I'll probably try to build like a tower for it or something. But yeah, I got a lot of really cool and interesting ideas from him, and I will definitely be coming to the next convention a bit more prepared. So yeah, besides like the artist table stuff, talking about the actual experience at the con itself. So I was riding like the emotional high of my life the entire day for the first day, because I was around people like me and my people who were like nerds and like fandom people and like cosplayers, and it just felt nice to know that I'm not alone in this small little town and section of the world where it kind of feels isolating. Not to say I don't have friends, I just don't have many friends who I feel like I can talk about these things with who live near me, you know. I think most of my friends are through work, and so usually I don't come to the table with conversations about fandom or conversations about musicals a whole lot. I usually try to talk about things that I feel like would appeal to other people in my life. So being able to just kind of like unmask a little bit, let my guard down, just relax. Though I didn't make a whole ton of money while I was there, it was just really nice and really fun to be in that environment. We had 2 celebrity guests, both of them were voice actors. I did not meet either of them. I did not have the time to, and I didn't really know the pieces of media that they were from, so there wasn't really something to connect with them about. I thought about stopping by their table because I recently got my first voice acting gig, so I was thinking about asking them for some advice on just like maybe microphone setup if they ever did home studio stuff, but because they were older voice actors, I wasn't sure if that's something that they had experience with or not. So I didn't. But maybe next year if they do another couple of like celebrity voice cameo people come in, I'll probably ask questions then. Oh, I forgot to mention another artist. Hold on. So there's this comic artist that I've been following for a while. They have a webtoon called I Love You Lily, I-L-Y Lily. And I had no idea that I went to school with this person, so I felt terrible when I went over to their table to say hi and realized that I recognized her face. So it's, her name is Vivian, and it's SYVian on Instagram, and please go check out her stuff and follow her, because I felt terrible. I was like, how did I not even know that I knew you? Yeah, she had a bunch of cute prints. I got one of her prints from, she did one for Amamori, and then I also got a sticker of Rousey face flat on the ground, from, Deltarune, because it was funny. Yeah, sorry, why am I apologizing? It's my fucking video. Anyways, back to convention talk. Yes, maybe next year if they do voice actors again, I'll stop by and ask some questions about that, because I do have a microphone. It's decent. I'm just using a Blue Yeti. But if I get more voice acting gigs in the future, I'd rather have the proper equipment, and I would like to be pointed in the right direction, because there's a ton of different companies and microphone setups out there, and, you know, I do have a couple of audio technician friends, and I do trust their judgment, but also, you know, I've got the budget of somebody who doesn't usually do this kind of stuff, so it's something that I'd like to ask somebody who does it for a living what they prefer to use. But yeah, that was great. And then at the end of the day, I came out to my car and I had a completely flat tire to the ground, and it was so flat I was scared somebody had slashed it. And I had to call my dad for help to get it changed, because I am not strong enough to jack it up on my own, and it was like a whole process. It took us 2 hours even doing it together. The tire was not slashed, but it was suspiciously flat, and it was hard to tell because it was such an old tire that there were like marks all over it, so it could have been anything. So I was pretty exhausted after that. Went home, ate some ramen because that's my comfort food. And then I went to bed, and I came back the next day, like, not as pumped and excited as I was the first day, just because I was like, man, it took us forever to do that, I didn't get a lot of sleep, it was a whole process. So, anyways, the next day was still fun. It was pretty enjoyable. I got to talk with more people. One of my folks, stopped by to help me run the table so I could use the restroom and get some food, which was a thing the day before, because the day before I didn't have anybody helping me run my table, so I was just like shaking a little bit and just like a little bit low blood sugar, a little bit like cracked out of my mind. So my dad helped me run it in the afternoon, and then my little sister helped me take down my table at the end of the con. I swung by a couple of other tables, I greeted some people. There was one guy who I greeted and I forgot to ask for his socials, so hopefully I will run into him again at some point at another convention. It would be really, really nice and really, really fun. I wish that I could have gotten to speak with more people, but, you know, I was just kind of like tied to the table the whole time. So part of me is debating just going to the con next year to go to the con and have fun. But the other part of me is like, I should still get back on the horse, even if I didn't make a ton of money, and even if I made a lot of mistakes. I should still try again. So I still want to. So yeah, that was my convention experience. Overall, it was a lot of fun. I think they're going to pick a different venue next year. They're going to make it even bigger because it attracted a lot of people. Like, even people who weren't fandom just stopped by because admission was super cheap. And they just kind of explored. The only other thing I saw was, like, there were these people who built an R2-D2 that functioned, it worked, and he walked around with it in the artist alley, and that was a lot of fun. It was really, really cool to see. I'm not a huge Star Wars person, but R2-D2 is my favorite because he's a sassy little guy, and I love him. I don't think I'm the only one with that opinion. It's just that robot has so much personality and carried the franchise on his little oblong round shoulders head adjacent shape thing. So anyways, yeah, that was my first convention experience. I'm excited for the next one. I'm going to be putting a lot more planning, a lot more effort into this next one. And I will keep y'all posted when that happens and where you can find my table and how it, you know, if you want to stop by and say hi. In the meantime, though, besides just working on merchandise for the future, I'm getting back into the workflow. So I'm going to be working on my comic with my boyfriend again. He's already done his half. He wrote the thing. I just need to draw the thing. So that's what I'm going to be doing on top of the merchandise. I've got a couple of commissions left. I may take a break from commissions once they're all done, with the exception of like 2 clients who are regulars, and they always pay on time. So I am kind of always, you know, available to them specifically. But yeah, definitely after I've got the rest of my work done, I'm going to be putting a hold on commissions. It's all just going to be focused on what I want to do with my skill and how I want to put it into the world. Because I'm going to be honest, like, with the way that the economy is right now, the way that I've been running commissions has been on a, like, pay what you want sort of sliding scale, and that isn't working for me anymore. Like, I have limited free time, and it does have a negative effect on me, even though I wish I could do it that way, because I do want to make art and visual design accessible to more people. It's not something that I can afford to do. So I think I'm just going to refocus on the projects that I want to do and the things that I want to put out in the world. And then if somebody really, really wants to work with me, they'll have to negotiate that with me. Because I've reached a point where my time is precious to me. So, anyways, thank you for making it this far into the video. No, I will not be editing this audio. I've committed to what I've said. I'm just going to put it out there. Please go follow the artists that I've mentioned. I'll be linking their socials in the video description as well. Yeah, it was a good experience. It was a ton of fun. I'm glad that I met people who do art in my area. It's just nice to build community. So anyways, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day. Bye.